Welcome everybody back to another BOLDcast reaction. This isn't a reaction. Welcome everybody back to another BOLDcast video. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
And this is a new setup, a new thing we're trying out. Hope you guys enjoy, but this is a year-end review, an end series review of Naruto, where I'm going to be asking the lovely Lindsay here a bunch of questions that you guys left on our Instagram, at BOLDcast Media on Instagram, and in our YouTube story comments. I made a post a while ago on our story that you guys could leave questions for what Lindsay thought of the whole series. So now I'm going to be going through those. And yeah, if you guys like this type of format, if you guys want to see more videos like this, then definitely leave a like and definitely comment and engage with us as much as possible, because we put a lot of effort into this whole setup here. We're here in our living room, and we really want to like branch out and do more stuff like this. Yeah, I guess we'll just get right into it. So the first question that I have comes from Instagram user Sean Dadon. Just starting off really like simple and easy. What do you rate Naruto so far out of, he says 5, I'll say 10 just to make it a little easier.
I wish we were doing this after I did my that live stream that we want to do of doing my anime list.
Oh, right.
Because I've been in my mind thinking about what I want to rate things, because so many things I'm like, yeah, that was really good. Like pretty much everything when I watch something I'm like, yeah, that was pretty good, like 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
But then I have 500 things that are 8 out of 10, and some are definitely not as good as other things. But I find it really hard to rank them. However, for Naruto, I'd say if I was going to rank it like as a show, maybe like 7.5, which is because it is really good, but there are so many parts where it drags so many flashbacks. If it was just the story condensed, and it, like if it had been made now, when they're in like this revival of shonen where they're cutting out all the filler, no bullshit, just a really solid thing, I feel like the story really is there, but the whole watching experience was severely downgraded by the flashbacks and by the filler and by just kind of silly stuff.
Yeah, so a 7.5 would be your rating. Interesting. Which
goes to show that I did actually enjoy it, because if I hadn't enjoyed it and I was going to rate it, I probably would have rated it way lower, because obviously that's how that works.
Oh, yes, so this works. This is from John Ortega, 6676 on Instagram. Our friend John Ortega, longtime patron, one of our first patrons.
Yeah.
Has Naruto piqued your interest in other long-running shonen?
No.
Why not? Well, that's if the answer is no, that's fine. Just why not? What do you think?
I think it makes me want to be careful about what I want to do, but that also comes with watching other things as well, like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, which we're watching. We just finished Demon Slayer, and we're watching Jujutsu right now. And the thing about watching something like Naruto, it's playing it a bit safer because it's finished. And so if people say, oh, it's really good, there's some filler, but there's like a list for what to not watch. Yeah. Oh, and there's some flashbacks, but you know, that's just how it was. But because you sort of know that going into it, you can prepare for it. But I don't know how many of these super long shonens I would want to get in. Like, I don't think I'm going to be the person that's like, oh, I watched Naruto, so now I'm going to watch Bleach, now I'm going to watch Fairy Tail, now I'm going to watch One Piece. It's not my favorite type of show to enjoy. I do really like it, but I don't see myself... I see myself like liking Naruto and like loving Naruto and wanting more Naruto. I don't see myself being like, oh, I really like Naruto. Now I want to go watch something that's not Naruto.
But can give you that same sort of boost. Yeah, the same like
to me,
feeling.
The feeling is worth it because I've grown to know the characters over so long. So potentially I would like another long-running series, but maybe not just a replacement for Naruto. But I'm also only done part 1 and there's still shippuden. So maybe after I finish shippuden, that might change, where I might be like, oh, now the journey is over. and I want something else of the same, but
you've spent enough time where you can kind of form an actual opinion.
I think it's because I think it just has to do with my personal preference of what shows are like my favorite and have the most impact on me. Mm-hmm. Personally, I prefer shorter shows that have a beautiful, well-written story with a clear beginning, clear end, and a clear message.
Very, like, tightly wound type things.
Yeah.
Maybe not even tightly wound. Like, there can be some...
There can be deviations, and there can be this and that, but I sort of like it to have an end, whether it's a happy end, sad end, confusing end, but if the whole thing was kind of done, you know?
Yeah.
And I like being able to just enjoy something for what it is and put it back on the shelf to maybe take out again when I want that thing. And although the journey with Naruto is like part of what makes it really good,
you really like a full package.
I really like something that's short and sweet and really, I don't know, potentially makes me cry or makes me really laugh, or just a lot of emotion and a lot of something in like a small little package is my personal favorite type of show. Something like Anohana or Charlotte is very sort of up my alley.
Interesting. This is my question. This isn't from our viewers, but do you think that, genuinely, do you think the reaction is a part of that? Like, do you think that the fact that we are watching it in the format of, we can't, because, like, a lot of people complain that, like, and this is just reactors in general, this isn't just us, but when we sort of harp on things too much, but it's because we're experiencing it episode to episode, and that's not the way that a lot of people watch it, I think. This is part of the question.
Yeah.
But that's part of the way that a lot of people watch it, so when they watch our reaction or other people's reactions, and they see you have a lot of problems with, like, one specific thing, a lot of their critiques are, well, just move on, like, that'll be answered, don't worry about it, be patient, but not just be patient, like, just literally watch 10 minutes into the future, and you'll be able to, and that question will be answered. Do you think that, had you been just binging it on the couch and getting through, like, 30 episodes a day, or 20 or 30, as opposed to a 10, like, a big watch session for us, for people who don't know, with the way that we watch these shows, it's, like, 10 episodes is, like, probably the cap of what we can do in one day.
So rare.
Of any show, like Naruto or otherwise. It's really rare that we watch more than 5 episodes a day because of the discussions and because of all the other work we have to do. So do you think, my question is, like, all things considered, do you think that the reaction format had a large impact on it, on like your experience? Do you think that you would be more interested in more long-running shonen if we were not reacting and, like, deep diving into every single thing?
Maybe.
Or do you think it helped your experience?
I think I don't know, because I don't know that I would have watched Naruto on my own. I'm not really the type to want to watch a long show, whether it's I mean, this is kind of what I just said, but whether it's anime or television, normal TV that normal people watch, I have always been very, very selective with what I choose to spend my time on. And I guess just to give you guys a sort of a glimpse into what my experience was like with just TV in general, I think the only long-running shows that I watched, but I started them when they were coming out, only like 3, maybe 4 seasons in, is when I started, and then I binged it, and then I watched it, would be Supernatural, Game of Thrones, Criminal Minds, and NCIS. But for a lot of those, like, Game of Thrones is the only one where it's a very story the entire way through, and the other 3 are just one
episodic.
Sorry, and Glee.
Oh, Glee as well. Yeah.
But those are all ones that you can just sort of put on in the background. You don't have to pay attention to a story. You don't have to pay attention to a plot. There's a plot sort of going through, but it's the episode is sort of one thing in itself. And
the greater plot is more of an excuse to, like, get renewed rather than, like, a super duper deep, like, character motivation, stuff like that. It's more
sometimes there gets to be moments, like, 7 seasons in when you're, like, really scared for that character because you've spent hours and hours and hours with them because each episode is an hour and there's like 20 episodes in a season and you just watch it every once in a while for fun. But the thing is, I've never seen Friends. I've never seen, what are some other big ones? How I Met Your Mother. I've never seen...
Seinfeld.
Yeah, I've never seen any of, like, the big ones that everyone always loves. Because I don't know. I'm not a huge...
You didn't grow up being, like, a TV person.
I didn't grow up in my family. Watching TV was not a thing. In some people's house, you just have the TV on.
Yeah, my house was like that.
In my house, it's like, don't put the TV on because...
We're being a family right now.
Or just... I don't want the TV on.
Yeah.
Because
a lot of people, it's like
things
background noise. Yeah. Especially for, like, a lot of people, I guess, if you're young today. Not of our audience isn't that young, but, like, people today grow up and the TV is, like, something you elect to do. Whereas growing up for me, it's just it's just background noise that every house has. You know?
Yeah. For us, the only time the TV would be on is if you're actively watching something. Or it's the news, and you just have it on while you're cooking. For us, it's like, oh, if you want some entertainment, put on some music.
Yeah.
And in my family, it wasn't a thing. The only shows that my parents watched, which I also watched this, and so I guess technically these would be like long-running shows, but they're reality shows, so it doesn't really count. Survivor and American Idol were the only shows that my parents kind of watched growing up. And those were...
Tournament arc?
Yeah, tournament arc shows. So
it wasn't a big thing.
It wasn't a big thing for my family.
So like, as far as the reaction and like if you were watching on your own, you still think you wouldn't have... You think that the reaction helped you enjoy the show. Or at least, like,
I think so.
Forced you to start watching it. And then even though you didn't like it for, like, the first 20-something episodes, you didn't like the first arc. I think if you rewatched it now...
I think if I rewatched
re-edited, especially if you watched it now, re-edited, I think you would really like it.
I think I would like the first arc more, but I think that was, like, when we were just first starting the channel, I wasn't fully comfortable...
With the reaction
in general at all. I was super weird about talking on camera. I felt super awkward every time the camera was on. I didn't want to talk.
That's why I talked all the time, even though it was her reaction, by the way. A lot of people don't know that.
And I was so nervous that I wasn't thinking about it, and then you'd have to point out, like, the meaning of what was going on.
Yeah.
And now I'm able to pick up on that usually better by myself. Mm-hmm. But when we were first starting out, it was just kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't want to...
It was more about, like, trying to look... like there's something going, because it was too much overload. I think it seemed like it was too much overload of, like, there's these lights, and we didn't have great lighting back then, but it was still like there's this camera and there's this recording software off to the side, and there's like the picture in the camera showing me watching the show. This is super weird. I don't watch. You didn't watch reactions.
Yeah, I didn't. I'd never seen reactions. I'd never seen a long-running shonen, and then there's the added pressure of, like, oh, Naruto's super popular, and Carson has already seen Naruto, so he has all the answers.
And in those first episodes, like, that's when people kind of decide whether they're going to continue watching, especially for new reactors. Like, that was our first... Naruto was our first series that we did. You know, there is some pressure to not just shit all over it because it's so... Like, the first arc is so bad if you have no attachment to it in a lot of ways. So there was that pressure as well, and the cameras, and, you know.
To actually answer the question, I think the reaction sort of hurt and helped my experience in different ways. At the beginning, it hurt it by I was kind of uncomfortable with the situation, therefore not freely enjoying the show. However, it also forced me to continue watching because if I just put it on by myself, if I wasn't engaged with the first bit, I would probably, watch the first 5 episodes and then go off and then maybe try and watch it again and then maybe drop it. But because we were reacting to it after I got past the first arc, and then I started really enjoying it, I think.
Fair enough. Okay, I just want to... Back to the questions. We're shifting gears here. So this is from no.your.420 on Instagram. What's your favorite character so far? Really, it's kind of easy question. There were a couple people who asked, I forget who it was in the Instagram comments, but they also asked, like, top 5 characters. A couple of people asked, like, top 10, or not top 10, top 3, whatever. Just, you can have more than one, but if you could have one, who
my number 1 would be Rock Lee.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I think Rock Lee is for sure my favorite character. I really like the message of his character. He's just a great guy in general, and even though he's a side character, I just feel very attached to him. He's really funny, kind of awkward. Yeah, I just like him. I think he's a really great character because he allows for some kind of comedic relief without kind of just bullying him. And without him just being stupid or something, you know, because he's not just like, oh guys, look at this, and like does something dumb or something. I don't know. I can't think of an example of a character that I'm thinking of, but yeah, I just really like him, and he's a great friend as well. And then if I had to give, maybe I'll do sort of top 5.
Sure.
Rock Lee is my number 1. These next 4 won't be in order, but I really like Shikamaru, and I really like Kakashi, and I really like Guy Sensei. That was only 3.
Do you have one more?
A 4th one.
Shikamaru, Kakashi, and Guy Sensei, those 3 others.
And I would say Naruto, but sometimes he just does dumb stuff.
Part of his charm, though.
Yeah, it is part of his charm, and I know some of that is filler, so it's not necessarily actually him going on an adventure with Konohamaru for no reason right before the tuning exams.
Yeah.
I don't have a real strong one in that section, but I do like Naruto as a character, and I do like Choji as well.
So this is a YouTube comment from user Possessed Boy. What character can you relate to personality-wise? If any. I thought that was because you got your favorite characters, but you might not relate to all of those quite as much. Do you relate to Rock Lee more than any other one? Or do you aspire to Rock Lee? Are you attracted to Rock Lee, physically speaking? Particularly his hairstyle.
I think you know the answer to that question.
Yeah. Personality, do you relate to any characters? If so, any. If not, you can talk about that.
You know, I really feel like I relate to Tenten.
It's funny you say that. So I got a follow-up question for that as well from Roju Miller. Name 3 things Tenten has done. And then you can answer either of those.
I feel like maybe I should go with that one right now. Just because it's relevant, and it won't be relevant ever again. Just like Tenten. Tenten would have been really cool. She would have been actually cool.
Her voice actor's great.
I'm going to talk about the girls more later, but 3 things that Tenten has done. She has admitted her admiration for Tsunade as a great female icon in the Leaf Village. And then tragically got her... Well, I guess she didn't technically want to actually study under her, but fucking Sakura just sniped that opportunity right out of the way for literally no reason. She complained about being the only one to not go on the Sasuke rescue mission when Shino was standing right there.
And Hinata as well.
And Hinata as well. But I don't think she was standing right next to her.
No, she wasn't. Yeah, Shino was literally right there. But the thing is, Shino was doing other he was on a mission with his dad.
He was doing other stuff. But
you don't have to answer that one. Who do you relate to most in Naruto? You can take your time with this one. Because as a woman, it must be difficult to relate to people as easily, or more difficult than me, for example.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I don't know if there's sort of a single character that is relatable, because a lot of the characters are really like a personification of one feeling or idea or way of living. And that's not to say that's all the characters are, but especially the side characters, some of them have...
I'm so sorry. Go on, sir.
Rock Lee could potentially be a relatable character for anyone and same with Naruto, for like if you're told that you can't do something and then you just really try and do it and give it your all and have a good attitude about it, because I definitely think that that's relatable. And then Sasuke is also relatable, but that's like the side of yourself that you don't want to fucking talk about, because I think probably most people can relate to most of the characters in some way of like Sasuke is... I don't like him at this point. I think he's kind of a shithead. but it is, his sort of journey is relatable in the way that, like, you know, there's times where you don't want, you kind of want not necessarily the easy way out, but the way that you know is probably not actually that good for you, and then you kind of, you know, continue down maybe the wrong path.
Might not be healthy, but at least you're getting what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then, like, Shikamaru's character is also relatable, of, like, the, you know, when you're put, when, like, especially when he's, like, put in charge, and then realizes that that might not be the best thing, and then the whole thing of, like, his dad telling him, well, if it's not you, then it's gonna be someone, and at least if it's you can do better and learn from your mistakes, and you can, like, control that. So I don't know, I think, like, all three of those things that I just mentioned are relatable in some way to me, but you don't, as far as a single character, I don't see a single character that I'm that, like, you personally, that could be I really identify with this. Yeah. Well, fair enough. Do you think that there is a character that I could be?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. The thing is, I would say Sakura if Sakura would, like, had done something. Like, if Sakura had taken action, then yeah, I would say Sakura. And I think that's the point of Sakura, is that she's that's the point of having, like, a token girl main character, if you're gonna have, like, a cast full of guys, is that you fill that hole in the story of, you know, but, so I would say Sakura, but I don't think of you as, you obviously aren't completely useless and, like, can't even protect the bridge builder, for God's sake, but...
This just in, Carson calls his girlfriend Sakura. In terms of...
So I would say Sakura, but no, because that's not fair. I guess maybe... I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess not. I guess no one, if not Sakura. I guess that's the rough thing. Hopefully that changes in Shippuden. But, yeah. Okay. Next, so this is from our friend Mawaki, left in the Instagram, story reply, is favorite arc. Just your favorite arc of the story so far. You got the Land of Waves, then you have the Chunin exams, the Konoha Crush arc, which is where Orochimaru attacks. Then you have, the whole, like, getting Tsunade, that whole thing.
Kind of liked that when they were going to get Tsunade.
Really?
That was an interesting part in the story of, like, Naruto really putting in a lot of effort and learning to, like, master something really difficult. Tsunade getting her mind changed by Naruto and Jiraiya in that way. That was interesting. But I don't know what my favorite would be.
So after that, I think after that is the Sasuke Retrieval Arc.
Yeah, and there was...
there was a little bit before, like, the whole Tsunade thing where it was just the training arc. Those things are kind of separate a little bit. Where it was like Jiraiya and Naruto were leaving, and then there's the whole thing with Sasuke and Itachi.
I was
if you lump that, you could lump that all together, yeah.
All together. Man, I don't know, because there's things that I liked and didn't like about all of them, and I think that's kind of...
If you had to say one, though, that you think is your favorite, that you enjoyed, that you found the most enjoyment above all else, which one would that be?
It might have been the Chunin exams, just because that's when I was starting to actually really like the show. Specifically, the part where we were, what's it called, the Forest of Death?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Specifically in there, that part was really interesting because we learned about Orochimaru. We sort of got to see the other teams in action. We got introduced to Gaara as, like, a threat. I just felt like there was a lot kind of going on in that. And then, although I did like the Sasuke Retrieval Arc, but as you guys know, a lot of it, pretty much after Choji died, that moment really got me. And then from after the episode after that, all the way
till Rock Lee came back.
Until Rock Lee came back, it was just okay.
Yeah,
it was just kind of okay.
And even then, when the moment where Rock Lee came back was really good.
The moment where Rock Lee came back was awesome. And then the fight between Naruto and Sasuke, and also the Sasuke flashbacks, were awesome. But
people don't like the Sasuke flashbacks as much. They feel like it's really drawn out. I think it's better if you watch it all in one sitting, but I feel like that was really good.
We talked about it in our reactions, but I don't think I would have liked that final fight as much
without the flashbacks. I 100% agree. Yeah. But so you would say maybe the Sasuke Retrieval Arc or the Chunin exam, like the Forest of Death part of the Chunin exams?
And also that part where they're going to find Tsunade, if you lump in the Itachi stuff, like if you count that as sort of one thing.
If you had to pick one of those 3 different arcs, the question was, what is your favorite? Thank you for like talking about all of it, but like if you had to pick one, which one would be your favorite, and why?
I think actually maybe going to get Tsunade plus if you include the Itachi stuff into that as well. I really like that part. For some reason. I don't know. I think because it had Orochimaru in it and more Kabuto, which although I absolutely despise Kabuto, he is an interesting character sometimes to see on screen just because he is so evil. And such a shithead that you just kind of want to punch him in the face. And is also apparently invincible in a fight. But that was really cool. Getting to see more of the medical jutsu was interesting because that was the first time we were learning that that was even a thing.
Yeah.
And Tsunade as a character... Yeah, and Shizune is a really nice character as well. But the whole thing of learning her past and... You know, she's kind of running away, and then in the end she takes responsibility. I don't know. It's just kind of a nice arc. And for a second, I don't know. I think it had a lot of good moments. It had a lot of action. I don't seem to remember it with much pacing issues, and maybe there was, but I think it's a good thing when you don't remember it, even if it was there.
We also were a little bit more consistent about watching it at that point. But yeah, I think overall pacing wise, it doesn't like fall as poorly as a lot of the other arcs do. So follow-up question to that from Fueguin 0, Fueguin 0, in the Instagram replies, what do you think of Tsunade so far as a character, as a Hokage, as like from her being introduced?
Yeah, so Tsunade, I don't know, I feel like she's actually an interesting character, and it's also interesting that it seems like we kind of got her full arc already, and now she is like she's in the position of Hokage, and we get to see her, like we see her backstory, we see her choosing between 2 different paths, and then we see her finally choose to be Hokage, and now she's just like in that position for, I'm assuming, quite a while, unless someone comes in and kills her, or she just picks someone else because she doesn't want to do it anymore. Which she might. I don't know.
It does happen.
But I do like her. I like that her thing is gambling, but she's just so bad at it. That's pretty funny.
Super unlucky.
Yeah, just really.
And when she is lucky, it means something's like, going wrong.
No.
But you feel like her arc is kind of over? Or,
Yeah, unless she... I think her arc is over until she decides to step down or gets killed or something. Just because... I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel.
Fair enough. So this is from Mawaki again on Instagram. Favorite female characters? If you can name them. Or like what and what do you think you like about them?
I wish we got to see more of them. I really like Ino's design, and I think I would.
And she's got a cool power.
Yeah,
well.
Ino's really cool,
power.
which is also why I'm really disappointed that for some reason she's just following Sakura into being trained in medical stuff. But we'll see how that goes. I think Tenten could have actually been really cool. And this is what makes me really upset about specifically Tenten, even though she's the most sidelined of, like, all the girl characters are kind of sidelined.
Yeah.
But she is the most ignored, which is kind of horrible because she is seemingly...
The most confident, coolest,
the most confident, the one who
competent.
Actually wants it. The one who actually wants to be a ninja, which is actually my main problem with Sakura, is that she fits in the role of someone who isn't a ninja, like, who isn't part of it, and is just not too happy about what's going on, of like, oh, Sasuke and Naruto, stop fighting. I'm just on the sidelines watching you. But Tenten fucking wants to fight. It seems like for some reason Sakura's just there, but it seems like Tenten wanted to do this. And chose this. And is just... not allowed to do anything by the writing, which is just kind of disappointing because, I don't know, even though she didn't do anything, I'm like, I can tell she would be a good character if she got more screen time, you know?
For sure, yeah.
But because she didn't, I don't know that she's necessarily like my favorite character. I think she's the one that has the most potential of the girl characters we didn't get to see. Hinata is really good as well, but once again, she's kind of shy. Doesn't super want it. She doesn't seem to have that drive to, like, oh yeah, I want to fight everyone and I want to do all these things. But she is a little bit more interesting. Mm-hmm. Because of her family, and she's the disappointment, and she's got something to prove. So that is really interesting. So even though I hated her at the beginning, I do kind of like her. Now...
I forgot you, like, hated her.
I know.
It's funny.
Because she's just like, Naruto. I don't know. See,
so you would say just, like, it's just a story of missed opportunities. Like,
yeah,
we haven't seen enough of the girl characters for you to have a favorite.
Even, like, Kurenai, she looks super cool, and she's all about genjutsu, which we don't get to see very often. Mm-hmm. So she would be really cool, but we only see her fight literally one time for like 2 seconds.
And by the way, it's a crazy meme. It's I wish I could show you the meme, but we're using our phones to record this. So the meme is like that shot of like Kurenai coming out of the tree in a genjutsu against Itachi. Mm-hmm. She like casts a genjutsu on Itachi.
Yeah. And
then the meme is just like, if you're ever feeling useless, just remember that time Kurenai tried to get Itachi in a fucking genjutsu. And it's so true, because Itachi, his thing is using genjutsu on people. That's his entire shit. And he has the fucking Sharingan with his Tsukiyomi, one of the most powerful genjutsu techniques. She can't copy that. She can't do that.
Yeah. And then what's her name?
Anko, yeah. Oh, yeah. Shit, Anko.
Anko would have been so cool, and she was so cool,
she was really cool
when she was there, and then we never saw her again.
And she was. It's funny. I won't go on a big rant again, but like, it's funny with her because she was clearly set up to be like going to be another main character, or at least for an arc or two.
Yeah.
Like she was going to do. Why didn't she seal Sasuke's curse mark? You know?
Yeah.
Why didn't she, like, because Kakashi did it.
Yeah, why wasn't she a little bit more involved in that process that she was super familiar with and knew all about, and maybe could have talked to Sasuke and warned him about the dangers of having this on his body and what he's going to have to do, instead of Kakashi just being like, for some reason I know all about this and I'm going to tell you all about it, and don't activate it.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't make sense. It seems like a poor thing for Kishimoto.
And she was really cool. And I don't know if we'll see her again in Shippuden, but I would, like, and maybe we probably won't, because it's been a long time since we've seen her, but she was really cool. It's the same thing every time there's a girl character. They have a great design, they look really cool, their powers, usually interesting, and then they just don't get used, and it's a real shame.
Or they just, gotcha, it's actually a boy.
Yeah.
With Haku. Yeah.
Tamari is also a girl character that is slightly more useful, but once again, we see her not for very long, and her fights are so small. But she's obviously really powerful, and she, like Tenten, you can tell she really wants it, and this is her thing, and she's doing...
She's had a lot more play. Like, she just had a lot more opportunities.
She had a lot more opportunities, but still not enough to really gauge too much into her personality, you know? So, that's interesting, but I'm gonna call it right now. I feel like they're setting her and Shikamaru up. I think I mentioned this.
You did mention that.
Before, but I feel like ever since the first moment that he said she reminded him of his mom, made me think that he was gonna be exactly like his dad.
Well, he also looks exactly
like his dad. He looks exactly like his dad, but I was thinking he was gonna be like his dad in more ways than just his looks and marry someone exactly like his mom.
So at the end of Naruto, there was that scene where Sakura was like, Naruto, you might have to wait a little bit, but I'm going to catch up to you. I will be useful. I think she literally said, I will be useful. Yeah. This is from Yasin Muhammad. Do you think Sakura will ever be useful?
I think so.
You do?
I hope so. I think it would be pointless for her to spend so much time Because, yeah, I believe in that, like, I know we watched 3 episodes, but I believe even in the last one, she was still doing her fish training or whatever.
It was in that last little bunch of episode that she was doing the fish training.
But it seems like what she was doing was something that would take years. Obviously, any kind of medical training in the real world takes years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's...
Fortunately, she does have years.
Yeah.
With the time skip.
But I guess what I'm saying is, I think it would be pointless to give her that, like, be all of a sudden Sakura is interested in the medical field and then not have her be useful as a medical personnel. That would be completely ridiculous. So that's why I think her and Ino, and maybe Hinata and Tenten as well, will hopefully be treated a little bit better in Shippuden. Maybe not. But I have a bit more hope for that, because I think specifically Sakura's character, the way she acts and the way she behaves and the things that she does, I think lends itself more to a non-fighting role. 100%.
Yeah.
I've said it since the beginning. I'm like, if she was just a random person in this town that knew them since they were kids, great. Sakura would be a fantastic character. But because she's on their team, it makes literally no sense that she's just kind of there. Yeah,
maybe she has, like, a special power. Like, maybe she comes from a family of muggles, but can, like, create food or water or something. Or, like, something simple like that. Some reason to bring her along because of her
the whole time there's no reason for her to be there other than for certain moments that she could have done if she had just been a random civilian.
Or to be the dumb one to ask Kakashi what's going on.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, I think her character will make a lot more sense once she is, like, a medical person. Because then she can be useful in a way that's not her just being super badass and killing people, because that's never been her. Every time she's intervened in a fight, someone else has come and saved her, like, 2 seconds later. So I think her helping in a different way will make her a lot more useful than she has been till this point. Can I have a sip of water?
Yeah. So this next question is from Castro the Prince, our lovely mod. Who do you think is the strongest character headed into Shippuden?
Does that mean who do I think is physically the strongest, or who do I think is the strongest in terms of their character development?
Oh, I think he meant, like, physically the most powerful. As far as power scaling, who would you put on top?
Itachi? Because Orochimaru was, like, the very powerful villain, but then apparently he didn't take over Itachi's body because Itachi was too strong. Which means Itachi is stronger than Orochimaru, and then, and so on. So, yeah. I think that's kind of the easy answer there.
Okay, your interpretation of the question, who do you think is the best character, the best, like, the strongest written character headed into Shippuden?
I mean, probably just Naruto and Sasuke, probably, because especially near the end, it was a lot about them and their relationship, and I'm thinking in Shippuden, it's just gonna be sort of the same like, Naruto still has the goal of one day going and rescuing Sasuke, so I feel like we're gonna see we already got a lot of development on them, on their backstories, on their relationship, on their goals going forward. So I think, I mean, they're kind of the main characters of the show, so it makes sense. But I'm also interested to see more of Shikamaru. I think of the secondary characters, even though Rock Lee is my favorite, I think Shikamaru is in a really good place for heading into the next chapter here.
Yeah, they definitely gave him a lot of development, like,
especially
as it
at the
went on.
end.
Yeah, especially at the end, but, like, as it went on. Yeah, the way they capped it off there was really good.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was, like, sassing fucking Tsunade at the end of, like, why the fuck aren't there medical ninja, like, in every squad? And she's just like, there's not enough of them. Like, sorry, I made the same case to the third Hokage, and he didn't fucking listen. Okay, next one. So the eye guy on Instagram asks, what would you say is the best thing about Naruto, the series? Story, setting, or just something unique that you don't see in other shows? What about Naruto do you see as like what really draws you in and feels kind of different? Or nothing. Nothing draws you.
No, I'm just thinking
the money, the money from reactions.
No, I think probably the story, and yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say characters per se, because there's such a huge cast and so few of them are like really strong, well-rounded characters. But I do think the story is interesting, and the message and the things that they're exploring is really interesting. The sort of rivalry, friendship, traumatic past. I don't know.
The relationships.
The relationships between
the
some of the characters. Yeah. I think that's interesting. That's probably the most interesting thing. And it's done in a way because it was, like, I guess made for kids, or it's done in a, like, kind of a simple way that it's not, like I said earlier, a lot of the side characters aren't super complicated with their story. In fact, for a lot of the characters that we do see their story, it's they had a horrible childhood and are working through it, which is kind of, I mean, the things that are being told in this very specific characters, they're really extreme situations of that idea. But I think maybe in Shippuden it will probably be a little bit different because they are older, but just the time frame of them sort of figuring out how they want to live their life and the kind of person that they want to be aside from what happened to them and they couldn't control.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most interesting part about Naruto.
So going kind of off of that is from Crouton King 65. How do you feel about the setting of Naruto at this point, aka the Leaf Village and other great nation, or the other or the ninja world as a whole? What do you think about that? Do you like the setting? Do you feel like do you want to know more? Are there things you want to know specifically?
I want to see more places because we like the first arc was kind of the only time we went out of the Leaf Village. But I also feel like I don't really know where anything is in the Leaf. Oh, actually, I guess when they went to get Tsunade, they went out of the Leaf Village. Yeah. But I feel.
But they were in the land of fire. They were just like a couple villages over.
Yeah. I feel like it's very interesting because I have no idea of whereabouts they are in relation to pretty much anything. It's not often that we see a map. It's not often that we even see where things are in the town, like where they are in the town.
We know there's the Hokage faces and like the Hokage's building.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
and
it. Where the fuck
school,
does Naruto live?
But,
and the school. But in relation to that, where's Naruto's house?
Yeah, I have no idea where anything is in the town.
Where are all the Uchiha, like, buildings?
Yeah, where is that? Do they just not go there anymore? Is it just a ghost town in the town?
I wouldn't blame if it was, to be 100% honest.
There's now, as I mentioned this in the reactions, there's now a gigantic bone forest in the Land of Fire that, I mean, I know it never gets mentioned again. However, that's pretty interesting. And it would have been cool if they used that again or something, which obviously they don't, but wasted opportunity in my opinion.
So you're saying you want to see more places, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and I want to have a way to gauge, like, where things are, because I kind of just let it go with the flow. They're like, Jiraiya's like, oh, we're in this town now, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're in this town now. It looks pretty well the same as any other town. And it's like, oh, we're by the school. Okay, well, that looks pretty much like the same dirt road as somewhere else in here. I will say that sort of the technology is kind of interesting, where they have some things but not other things. And I think at one point they had radios.
They do, yeah.
Like personal radios.
They have like short range radios.
They have an interesting like time period concept going on there.
Yeah, it's fairly malleable because like the Uchiha household had a TV in their like breakfast kitchen area, and like but the previous time we saw a TV, I think was the Hokage and Anko watching the like Chunin exams or something like that.
Camera.
Yeah, and I feel like there were a bunch of like crazy chakra batteries or something like all over the place. It's kind of
I think the thing is I don't pay attention to the setting too much because they don't put a lot of emphasis on it.
Yeah.
and it seems to be whatever is called for at the time is what's on screen. If I think about it too much, then I'm like, where are we? But I just try not to think about it because, like I said, if they cared about the setting, then they would probably go back to that cool bone forest that I will forever be mad about.
So, from Proyectos Informatica, what do you think of the organization Itachi is a part of, also known as the Akatsuki? What do you think of that whole organization so far?
Well, I feel like we don't know a ton about them.
Yeah.
At this point.
Do you have any theories or thoughts about, like, what they want? Obviously, their cloaks are cool as fuck. Their hats are nice. They got those, one of them's got a bell on them for some reason, even though they're ninjas.
I don't know. I'd say because we haven't really been introduced to that many other people from it, I have a hard time
having thoughts
on it because we've seen so little of it. We've seen more of Itachi at this point, which I still don't know what his whole deal is, because at first I was like, maybe the thing with Sasuke was some kind of weird, not necessarily misunderstanding, but there was more going on that we didn't know about. It wasn't just he woke up one day and decided to kill everyone.
But the more flashbacks.
But then the more flashbacks, then it's like, no, he woke up like months earlier, premeditated it, put his plan into action, and then killed everyone. And you're like, well,
yeah.
The more I see of you, the less I can plausible deniability your actions. So,
making it real difficult for me to be on your side.
But
there,
I know that he's a loved character.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, is that just people being edgy and liking him for being like, oh, he's so cool. So that might be it.
He is really fucking cool.
He's really cool. But
he might be the coolest one, I think. As far as design and like,
he is really cool.
Cool factor, he's probably the coolest one. Especially if you like Sasuke.
He's like a cooler version of Sasuke.
100%.
However, I want to...
As far as the Akatsuki.
As far as the Akatsuki...
Not much.
I'm kind of indifferent to them at this point. I know that they're setting up to be the evil characters, but I'm not too threatened by them at this point.
Okay, so this one is from our greatest sponsor, Corey Green. Do you think Sasuke could have been saved, or was what happened inevitable?
This is a hard question, because it seems like the adults in this world seem to care very, very little for the mental health of the children of the village. Just in general. There's a lot of orphans running around with some serious issues that maybe need to be in therapy, and there's not. Yeah, but also at the same time, the severity of the thing that happened to Sasuke is so out of control that it's hard to say whether anything would have helped, or, whether kind of... Because, I mean, the thing is, if he hadn't gotten so riled up about Itachi with the whole Naruto thing and the whole... Just the way the events happened, it was obviously written to, like, build up to the point where stuff happens. So with what happened, I don't know that he necessarily could have been saved, because there was kind of, like, the turning point there. And with the situation that was going on, it couldn't really...
What situation?
Like, when he finds out that Itachi is there, but he's only interested in Naruto because Sasuke's not even good. And then he chases after him and then gets his ass handed to him and choked against the wall and everything. And then it's just like, man, nothing, like, after that happened, I don't think that,
he could have been saved.
Yeah.
Or he could have been, like, convinced otherwise. He was already, like, set down that path from that moment, you think?
I mean, I think it had to be stuff previous to that that would have allowed him to be able to be convinced after that point. I guess is what I'm saying. I'm saying if things had been different.
What kind of things? What do you think could have happened to have changed his mind or prevented him from going down that road in the first place?
Yeah, I guess
What?
I guess maybe it was inevitable, but it's really hard to say because I don't know. It seemed like once he sort of made the choice to go down that path, he couldn't really go back. I guess is what I was thinking. And like also the same thing if fucking Orochimaru hadn't just come into the Chunin exams,
planted the curse mark, and
like if he hadn't got the curse mark, like if that hadn't have been an option, I don't think he would have been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go find that guy that killed the Hokage and ask him if he can help me out here. You know?
So short answer is
I guess not.
no. Okay. Interesting perspective. This is from some dude, a guy who's been really active in our Naruto comments for a long time. Where do you think Sasuke's character arc is going, and do you think you could enjoy it? Do you think I guess he means, do you think you will enjoy it despite what it might entail? Because obviously you don't like Sasuke as a person.
No.
You think he's really just edgy and a shitlord and is really selfish and stuff like that. But yeah, do you think where do you think that's going, and where do you think and do you think you could enjoy it, or do you think that it'll just be more of fucking hate this guy?
I'm not sure. See, I don't know what's gonna happen. There has to be something that I don't know how big the time skip is. What is it, like 3 years?
I think it's like 2.5, 3 years.
So they're like coming up to the point where Orochimaru would be taking over Sasuke's body, I suppose. There has to be because his goal is to get Itachi, and obviously that hasn't happened during the break in between. I don't think he has somehow just ascended to another level with the help of Orochimaru. Orochimaru also just didn't take over his body once he got to that level, and then Orochimaru just let him go out casually off screen, kill Itachi.
You're talking in past tense, but I'm kind of confused. Do you or what do you mean? What are you saying?
I'm saying I think what we're gonna see with Sasuke is, at first, it's gonna be him figuring out what the whole Orochimaru thing means, of like.
He knows.
I know, but like what that means for like how he can leave and go do his own thing when he has a timeline.
I think he mentioned in the fight with Naruto that like if that's what it takes, I'll do it to get the power. Like so he basically said he's like he might be willing to like do whatever it takes. He's not really thinking about that, but you're saying what
I'm saying if he gets killed and his body taken by Orochimaru, he can no longer fulfill his goal. So there is so unless he is able to I guess what I'm saying is, and because it's coming up on that timeline, there is going to be some sort of butting heads with Orochimaru of like fuck, he's either going to kill, like there's going to be some conflict between those two, because it's not just like Orochimaru's going to be like, well, time's up, I guess you didn't kill Itachi in that time.
You had your chance.
You had your chance, and too bad. That's
time to pay the piper for all this
all
this
Sasuke's
knowledge
not
and
gonna
all
just
this
be
shit.
like, oh yeah, sure, Orochimaru, a deal's a deal. My hopes and dreams and my entire life's goal doesn't matter anything anymore. That's I guess what I'm saying is I think there's gonna be some sort of section of Orochimaru where he has to either kill him or escape or do something, because I'm not sure how much longer Orochimaru is going to be the big villain. He was the big villain, but we've been teased at Itachi and the Akatsuki so much, and they're way more powerful and way more scary, that it seems like maybe there'll be a transition. Maybe Orochimaru will still be there. Maybe Sasuke will just leave or something. But I think he's going to have to break free from that eventually. I mean, depending, unless it's like super slow and super stretched out and he still has time. But I'm just thinking about the time that he would have, unless Orochimaru waits for him to get even older, which I doubt. So I guess what I'm saying is there needs to be something to do with that. Like, first of all, that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and then
it's going to be about Itachi, and then I guess figuring out how he can get the Mangekyo Sharingan without killing his friend. Which might be difficult. I'm not sure what that would entail, but that's obviously his goal right now. And then obviously finding Itachi and getting him, but maybe he succeeds in some way or another, and then Naruto comes in and messes it up for him whenever. I don't know. That's like down
way
the line.
down the road.
Way down the road. Because I don't know the timeline of it.
Obviously, you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I know I haven't seen it. But I guess it's just hard for me to predict his arc.
Do you think you could enjoy it?
I think I could enjoy it if we're seeing a struggle of maybe some regrets of going with Orochimaru, maybe some regrets about not killing Naruto, I think even though I don't like Sasuke, I do think his sort of mental struggle with himself is interesting. So I do think I could enjoy it for that aspect, depending on what goes on, I guess.
Totally fair. Do you have a favorite... Oh, so this is from M. Perez. Do you have a favorite moment in the series?
Probably Choji dying.
Choji dying?
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's an easy enough answer. Great answer.
Good answer.
Great answer. You guys, if you want to see why she thinks that, go watch the reaction if you haven't seen that already. You all probably have. So, I think we're coming up on the end here pretty quick. Let me just go back to make sure. Yeah, we are coming up to the end here pretty quick. So this is from another one of our mods, Pokemetry Dash. What were your you kind of already answered this, so we might be able to skip over it. But what were your feelings about Naruto as a show when Carson first introduced it to you, and how did that change along the way? You kind of answered this a little bit, but if you want to go into that a little bit deeper, you can.
I wouldn't say I was super hyped to watch Naruto when we first started it. Actually, I had read the first
2 volumes you said.
Yeah, I had read up to the Bell test. I don't know what that translates to.
I think that might have been just a couple chapters. Actually.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't even that much. I thought it was maybe 2 volumes, but maybe not. I don't really remember. It was years ago at this point, but I obviously dropped it after the first volume or first couple chapters. And so when Carson's like, "Oh, we're gonna watch this," I'm like, "Oh, it's this big thing," and
you already weren't crazy into anime, because I had shown you a bunch of my other favorite stuff, like fucking Berserk, obviously, which you thought was okay, but I wasn't showing you. This might have been the good first thing or something like that, but you hadn't seen a whole lot of anime that you really really liked. Yeah, and I feel like this was one of the ones that I didn't have an immediate hook. For me, this one took a little bit more time. Yeah. Which is different because for sort of the other longer show that I've seen, which would be Fullmetal Alchemist, one of my favorites. 2003.
2003 we watched first. And I got into that really fast. Brotherhood, I was very hesitant for pretty much a long time, and then I really liked it. For
more than halfway through the entire thing.
And then Attack on Titan. Did we watch the first episode and then I refused to watch anymore? Yeah. And then we watched it again. We binged it later.
But those you're right though. Naruto doesn't have that hook.
Yeah, it takes a long. I feel like with Naruto, the more you watch, the more you like it. Yeah. Because it's not. It's not the best for just reeling you in. It doesn't have that crazy thing that happens at the beginning that makes you really want to watch it necessarily.
In today's world.
Yeah.
Back in the early 2000s, it was a different story.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is now the reason for watching it is because you know that so many people really love it. Yeah. That's the big reason for me, at least, and I think probably for a lot of people. And it's kind of a historical thing. Yeah, it's what should I watch? Oh, well, Naruto's super popular, it's old, it's long running, it's kind of an essential thing to see, depending if you know. But you didn't think extremely highly of it, and as that's gone along, has your opinion on that really changed? Or what I'm getting is that it seems like you kind of have the same feeling on it as you did at the start. It's just that about it as a thing, but you are just more personally attached to it Yeah.
Now that we're where we are and excited to go into the future. But as far as, you know, your feelings about it as
I think
general
a lot of that has to do with a lot of the problems that it has just as a show. The pacing issues, filler, this, that, flashbacks. I don't know. I feel like it's hard sometimes to get to, like, I feel like that kind of pulls me out sometimes. When you're really, really enjoying an arc, and then all of a sudden, it's just like 20-minute flashback of Fang over Fang jutsu or something.
Fair enough.
But I would say I like it, but I would say I wasn't as quick. I didn't like it as quickly as some other shows.
So following that question up, before we get to like our last few questions, from Joao Vitor. I'm not personally familiar with that name. Sorry. But they ask, would you recommend Naruto to those who haven't seen it? Would you recommend Naruto as a show?
It would depend on who I'm recommending it to. I don't think if I was trying to get one of my friends who doesn't watch anime to watch anime, I don't think I would tell them to watch Naruto. But if someone was really into anime and they hadn't seen any long-running shows, or they'd maybe seen a couple, I think I would recommend it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would push for this to be someone's introduction to anime.
Yeah. If someone was like, oh, what show should I watch? Would you be like, Naruto? I wouldn't be. I've never done that personally.
No, I would think it would depend on if I thought the person would enjoy it. I'm really like that with shows. I'm very specific about what shows I recommend to who. Even some of my friends who really enjoy anime, I'm not just like, oh, I watched this show and I loved it. You should watch it. You know?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Don't you tell people to watch Charlotte all the time?
I've told some of my friends to watch
Kaguya, Charlotte.
Here's shows that I recommend. Kaguya, Charlotte, and Anohana are my 3 most recommended shows to my friends who are casual anime watchers. But even then, if I know someone isn't like, I don't think I've ever recommended Attack on Titan to anyone
Your dad?
other than my dad, but we watched it with my dad.
And he liked it.
Yeah.
For those who are wondering.
But I don't often recommend Attack on Titan, Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah, you do. You recommend Fullmetal Alchemist and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood in conversations. I've heard you do it before.
Oh. But I guess the thing...
It's very situational based on how recently you've seen it and, like, what they... I think also you take into account, like, what they've seen recently and, like, you know, what they've seen.
Yeah, if they're like,
somebody
oh,
hasn't seen...
if I just saw this and then I'm like, oh, that reminds me of this, watch this. But I don't just pull longer shows out of nowhere. Like those, I don't really pull action-y shows out of nowhere when I'm recommending things.
Fair enough.
Personally.
Okay, before we get to our final questions, I have some questions from our mod Who Dat Boy on Discord. Okay, so we already answered a couple of the questions that he had, but one really general question that he had is, what do you think Naruto is about?
I think Naruto's
really general.
About...
If it had a point, what do you think that would be? Or just generally, what do you think? Maybe not even writing.
I feel like I kind of already talked about this, of like deciding how you want to do things, doing things your own way despite what's happened to you or things that you can't control. And I guess to me, I think that's the point. That's like a lot of what I like about it, and that's a lot of what I got out of it. And then also because they're kids, there's a bit of like the coming of age aspect as well. But I think that's like so tied in with the whole, you know, do your own thing, believe in yourself stuff. Yeah. So to me, that's what I kind of think it is.
Fair enough. And we're gonna read one more thing that he said, because he had a little thing there. So Who Dat Boy left a little message as well at the end that I wanted to say before I get into some of the final questions. But Who Dat Boy says, I also wanted to say, I know that people usually give you guys some hard time because you simply had a different opinion than them, but I wanted to say I personally like you guys because you're at least trying to be honest. You're not guiding yourself to be in a positive or negative set and only mention good or bad things. Just wanted to say that. Thank you, Who Dat Boy. You've been awesome. Really appreciate the support, and glad some people have that perspective, because it means a lot to us that people actually care about what we have to say, at least care enough to listen.
And I feel like even this discussion is really a testament to that we like to be honest, and not just because if we wanted this video to be super well liked and get a lot, I don't know, I would just be like, guys, Naruto is the best show I've ever seen in my entire life. Naruto is so great. I love Naruto. Naruto is my favorite character as well as Rock Lee, because he's super, you know what I mean? It would just be I don't know. Mm-hmm. That would be kind of a fake review, because I did have problems with it. And there were things that I didn't like as much. Mm-hmm. And there were things that I did, I don't know, it's kind of balanced. And I think we do try and be balanced.
As much as we
can.
Yeah. And now for the final questions that a couple people asked, variants of these, and, just very generally. Now that it's over and we're turning over into a new chapter of this story, a completely new sort of take on everything that's going on. I could credit a bunch of people with this, but a lot of people asked variants of the same thing. So there's a couple things here. So what are you looking forward to most for Shippuden? What changes would you like to see? What do you want to stay the same?
Okay.
You had some notes there that you wrote down.
I had just
because you were anticipating this question.
I have more to say, but I just wrote down these things that I thought about. I would really like to see more side characters, specifically the girls. I feel like I've already covered that a million
extensively
times. People often take that, and I just want to clarify it right now. People often take us, hating on Sakura or kind of talking about that as just, oh, you hate the character Sakura. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, you hate the character 1010. Or you hate the character as the character. That's completely not the case at all. I think most of the characters are fine, but they aren't given the opportunity to do anything or even be in a situation that suits who they are as a person, you know? And I would just like to see a little bit more thought put into that. That's a big thing. I like to see more Kakashi, because as we were talking about the other day, even though Kakashi is you think about Naruto, you really think about Kakashi, he's not in there that much. I would like to see more of him. Yeah, I think those are some of the things. I also listed some fights that I would like to see. Shino versus literally anyone. And Naruto versus Rock Lee. I would really love to see a friendly fight between those two.
Are you saying that because of opening 15?
Yeah, I got reminded of that. I'm like, man, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And they're both the kind of people. And the thing is, Naruto always wanted to fight Sasuke in the way that I think he would be able to fight Lee. In that we're friends but rivals, but more friends than rivals, and we're gonna see who's better in this fight. But it's just a fight for fun. Mm-hmm. And I think they might not do that, but I think that would be really cool. Personally, I think that would be really awesome.
Well, there you go. Anything else you want?
And then other stuff?
As far as things you want to change, or what do you want to stay the same? What about Naruto do you hope that they keep going into Shippuden?
I really hope that they keep the filler and flashbacks.
Fang over Fang jutsu.
Yeah, I was also gonna say that.
Oh, somebody asked your favorite jutsu. I guess we can answer that.
Answer that in a second.
Yeah.
I would like to stay the same. It's different. It sucks to be asked this because there's the age jump and the time leap. So it's It's one of the things I like. Well, actually, I'll say this because it doesn't just have to do with the fact they're kids. I like the silliness at times. Sometimes that has to do with filler, but I do like when the characters can just be kind of funny or just mess around or do things that normal human beings do in their spare time. I like that, and I hope that they keep that sort of playful element in there. I think that that really helps. Yeah, more side... Yeah, I would like to see more side characters just in general. Less filler and flashbacks, but I don't think I'll be in luck there, unfortunately. I would like it to, like, keep the same heart and the same believe it attitude. And keep exploring the way in which, you know, the characters decide to live their lives.
There you go. Quick favorite jutsu.
Favorite jutsu? Fang over Fang.
Is it actually just for the meme?
No. Man, I don't even know. Maybe just a summoning jutsu is pretty cool.
Which one? Which summoning? The Tamari, like, ferret one or whatever?
Well, I would say just in general, a summoning jutsu.
Yeah, but, like, is there a summon that you prefer?
Is there one that I really like? But I like the character of the slug that Tsunade summons.
Katsuyu?
Yeah, it's really cool, though, like, multiplication into multiple slugs is really cool.
What other ones? There was the turtle that Guy Sensei summoned that one time.
Yeah, I wish we could see him again. Probably not. I guess what's kind of interesting about a summon is they're summoning another actual living creature.
Yeah, like a person.
Yeah,
like a personage.
and they can talk and communicate. So you're and like the snake that Orochimaru summoned, they didn't have that great of a relationship. He wasn't working for free. He wasn't working just because he liked Orochimaru. He was like, get me some people to eat, and then we might have a deal here. And I think that I don't know, I really like that aspect. I think that's really interesting. But other than that...
Shadow Clone Jutsu. You don't like Shadow Clone Jutsu.
I think Shadow Clone Jutsu would be fine if Naruto developed some kind of strategy other than just throwing the clones, like, 2 by 2 at the bad guy and getting them smacked away.
Yeah, because he's not even overwhelming them.
No, and I've said this multiple times. If Naruto, in that situation where he was trying to get Sasuke in the coffin, he could have just... He had so many shadow clones, he could have just made, like, stacks of himself in multiple layers around Kimimaro, grabbed the coffin, and run away while the clones are just...
impeding his progress,
yeah.
like not even fighting, yeah.
Yeah, not fighting, but just because, you know, it takes time to slice through them. So if you make a fat enough layer, you know?
Well, that about sums up everything. Oh! One last thing that Hoodat Boy, I wanted to mention this at the very end. Sakura video essay, when? You said you were going to do a Sakura video essay early on in the series.
Oh, I think that was kind of a joke.
Was it a meme? Because he said that as well. He's like, is it a meme? If not, when is it happening?
I don't know.
Probably not?
I feel like I've kind of said what I wanted to say so much. And most of what I want to say, like... I could say a million things of what Sakura could have been, or what any of the girl characters could have been. But the real problem had nothing to do with the characters, the designs, their powers, literally anything. It was just kind of lazy writing.
Totally fair.
At the beginning, I think I was not as aware of that, because I was just like, because we kind of only knew Sakura, so she was just like, why is she here? Like, why is she here? She's completely useless. And then we see the treatment of pretty much every other girl character, and it's like, okay, this isn't just Sakura, this is a trend amongst most of the girl characters. And could be fixed if they had wanted to.
Well, alrighty. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys, for those of you who submitted your questions, thank you very much. There was a bunch. And thanks for, if you want to see more stuff like this, definitely leave a like. We really like doing stuff like this, if I can speak for me.
Yeah.
The whole setting all this up and doing something different, it's a lot of fun, and you know, we would be willing to do more of it if you guys showed some support and showed that, you guys are interested in this kind of thing. Or other formats and stuff like that. If you want to see us sort of branch out a little bit more, do a little bit more interesting stuff, then definitely leave a like, leave a comment, letting us know what you thought about it, and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for our Naruto Shippuden reactions, which will be starting on our channel.
But if you just can't wait and you really want to see me watch Shippuden, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/BOLDcast, where the first week's worth of Shippuden should already be up. I believe the first 5 episodes are on there already, so go and check that out.
Absolutely. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you leave a like, and stay tuned for Naruto Shippuden. Bye-bye. And thank you to all of our patrons, especially those in the Student Council.
Zenge,
John Ortega,
Aurora,
Lewis,
Christian Bay,
Kage Uzumaki,
Dreadful XR,
Xiao Lao,
Brian,
Handicap Bonkai,
D23L,
Charles Liu,
Jude Caspino Buford,
Nick Psycho,
Michael Wells,
King Mr. Mew,
Rifleman Z51,
Thelmus Celetius,
Brandon Bruce,
Yankee,
Vanonian,
Yuki Ali,
Mord Tarragon,
Josh Carey Gray,
Jordan Agnew,
Lolly Convict,
Redacted,
Zachary Porth,
Mohammed Burnham Ahmed,
Michael E. Zabel,
Callum Forsyth,
Nicholas Woody,
Soma Yukahara,
Dogs Free,
It's Your Boy Dom,
Christian Nielsen,
Phantom,
Quant Tuggle,
Proyectos Informatica,
Sugar Daddy Alex,
Tara,
Hunter Wayne Germany. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next one.